In the Catholic Church today, there is a feast called the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, which is sometimes misunderstood to be a feast about the conception of Jesus. It's actually about the conception of Mary. And it's a very strange belief, which I think is theologically necessitated by an over-obsession with sex and an over-obsession with the idea that Mary's obedience or Mary's consent was necessary before she became pregnant. Now, if Mary was sinful, then her consent could not have been absolute. If Mary was not sinful, then her consent could have been absolute because she wouldn't have had that barrier. And under Catholic theology, under Christian theology in general, sin is only taken away by Jesus, and as Jesus has not been born, that sin could not have been retrospectively removed. And so therefore the Catholic Church came up with the idea of the Immaculate Conception, which is based on the idea of Mary being full of grace. It's the Latin tag from Luke's Gospel, which is questioned anyway. And in practice, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception is about Marian piety, Mary's piety and the piety of those who venerate the Virgin Mary. But the actual feast and the definition as it came into effect is highly questionable. Highly questionable. It's a very dodgy piece of theology, and the Eastern Orthodoxy probably would not have accepted the idea of the idea of the Immaculate Conception, partly because it wouldn't have accepted the concept of original sin as defined by St. Augustine, and because of that definition, the Immaculate Conception becomes almost essential on a sort of legal basis. The bishop in Oxford, Callistos, who was my tutor, said the Latin dogma seems to us not so much as erroneous as superfluous. And I think that's quite a good understanding. I think there was some medieval understanding of the Immaculate Conception, but essentially it's something that turns up in 1854 by Pius IX in the papal bull Ineffabilis Deus, and it asserts Mary's freedom from original sin, and it's like the coronation of the Council of Trent. And the iconography of Mary standing on a cloud in white and blue then becomes is sort of made real in the story of Saint Bernadette. But I don't think you need a pious devotion. I don't think you need the Immaculate Conception in order to have a pious devotion to Mary, the mother of Jesus, the mother of God, Theotokos. And although Irenaeus and Justin Martyr and Cyril of Jerusalem talk about Mary as the new Eve, they aren't necessarily saying, as Ephraim the Syrian says, that she was as innocent as Eve before the fall. And it's on the basis of that statement, I think, that the Catholic Church promotes the idea of the Immaculate Conception. The supernatural influence of the divine in the incarnation both of Jesus and of Mary is an interesting one. It's there it's implied in John Damascene, John of Damascus, as well as in Ephraim the Syrian, but it's made specific in the Catholic definition at the end of the 19th century. I must say the idea of God making a human woman pregnant in the annunciation, which is what follows, that's not about the Immaculate Conception, is a piece of Christian mythology which is paralleled by a lot of the mythology of the ancient Greeks. The extraordinary stories of Zeus and Zeus's adventures, and again that makes one pause a little, I think. But anyway, for those who are celebrating the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, happy feast.